Hello again, students. This will be the first week two video. And what I want to do in this one is discuss that first dialogue assignment that you'll be working on this week. I've already had several questions about it, so hopefully this will answer some of those. Okay, so we're already in Canvas, so let's go on in. And I'm going to go to the modules first. So we're in week two, so I'm going to scroll down here. And where you'll want to begin is with the assignment link. So it's week two assignment, grit dialogue. Now that's somewhat of a misnomer because you actually have two options for this assignment. So as we come down here, it tells you choose one of the following prompts, which means you will only choose one of them. I think it's better to focus on one than try to respond to both. I think that students tend to do a better job responding to just one and focusing fully on one. So here are your choices. What is grit and why should Christian leaders seek to develop it? Or what were two of the study strategies you learned from this week's readings and how do you plan on using them to help you persevere through college? Now, both of those, if you just come straight here without looking at the study materials, you may think, I don't know what any of that means. And that's because they are referring to study materials in that week two module. You should find everything that you need to respond to one or the other of these in the study materials in the week two module. So don't fear. Um, and the material is really good for both. There's a video about grit that's really good. And then, as you're settling into a routine as a student, many of you may be coming back to school after a long break. And it takes a little bit of time to find that rhythm and learn the strategies that are going to work for you. So hopefully you'll find that reading helpful when you get there. Okay, so a few helpful things about the discussion assignments. And I have an announcement or two that I post that will help you. When I begin grading next week, I will also post a document that I typed up a long time ago to help you with your understanding. The reason I don't release that now is because I just want to see what you do without throwing too much information at you. I tend to get overwhelmed with too much information. And so I think it's pretty human. I tend to teach the way I would want to be taught. And so sometimes I just want to, let me see how to do it. Let me figure it out. And then once I have my head wrapped around the assignment, then give me some more information to refine it. So that's the approach that I take with this. Um, the most important thing to know, and I mentioned this in the week one video if you've watched it, is you will post at least twice for every dialogue assignment or discussion assignment, um, which is compared to some classes. And I remember teaching, so I told you last week that I've been teaching at Regent for 6 or 7 years, but I actually taught before that for several years as well, and then took a few years off and then got rehired. So back in the day, students would have to do their original post and then respond to three classmates. And now you're only required to do your original post. So that's one of the two required, and then respond to at least one classmate. So that's your second required post. And there are some parameters that you'll need to be aware of. So the first is that your original post or your response to whichever prompt you choose is due Thursday before midnight. All due dates and times are Eastern Standard Time. And that first post needs to be between 200 and 300 words. Now, length requirements are not a hard and fast rule, but they do give you a general idea of how in depth you want your response to be. So if I see a response that's significantly shorter than that, it's a little bit of a red flag that makes me go, I'm not sure that we discussed everything as fully as we could have and earned all of those points that I'm sure you want to earn for the assignments that you do for this class. Your response, and you can respond to multiple classmates. That's absolutely fine. I have some people who just love engaging in discussion with classmates online, and that's wonderful. But you're only required to respond to one. And that response has to be at least 75 words. And we're looking for something more substantive than, hey, great job on that post. Respond to something specific. Maybe ask a question that comes up for you as you read. Maybe you can relate to something they've written and you want to discuss a little bit about that. But we do need more than just, oh, I really liked your post. That's not going to cut it, unfortunately. There is also a rubric that I highly recommend. When you are given a rubric, that is how I'm going to grade. And I believe you're given a rubric for every assignment other than the quizzes, because those are, as I told you last week, just graded by Canvas and multiple choice. So I'm going to open up the rubric to help you get in the habit of looking at it. Okay, so there are a series of components that I'll be looking for in uh, every post. And the first is a complete answer. So you'll find that in general, your choices to respond to will be two-part prompts that require a two-part answer. I think it's best, and this will be, I believe, in an announcement in the coming days. I think it's best to respond to a two-part prompt with two paragraphs. It helps you to keep your writing organized, your thoughts organized. And if you can form a coherent paragraph to respond to each part of that prompt, it lets you know, okay, I've probably given enough attention to both parts because I am looking to make sure that you've responded to both. And that's one of those things when I go in and comment on your posts that I'll think, well, you did a great job responding to the what is grit part, but I would love to hear more about how grit pertains to Christian leadership, why Christian leaders in particular need to develop grit. Sometimes it might be uh, you did a good job of hitting both. However, when you're defining grit, I need for you to use a course material to support your answer. Because the thing is, again, this is in general, there's one uh, exception in week 3 that I can think of right off. But in general, these prompts are written in a way that you will need to go to the course material and use that to support what you're writing. So if you're writing about what grit is, you want to use the Angela Duckworth video to support your answer. This is not you sitting back and thinking, "Oh, well, what do I think grit is?" and taking a stab at it. And it's not even just going to the dictionary and looking at it there. The reason we're engaging in these study materials is so that we all have the same foundation of knowledge, and then we can all engage in discussion about that knowledge. And so it's more helpful if we're all alluding to or commenting on or using the same materials for support. So that's something I'll also be drawing your attention to. If I don't see you using course materials to support your post, I'm going to draw your attention to that and ask you to um, add to your discussion. Okay. Topic sentences. This is a basic writing thing. And part of this class, there are a couple of different purposes. One of the main purposes of this class and why most students take it very early on in their time at Regent is because it is a refresher in basic writing skills and writing structure. So we want to be writing complete paragraphs with a topic sentence and then supporting detail. So we are going to look to make sure, it can be simple. You know, grit can be defined as blah, 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 and then pull something from that Duckworth video that you'll see in the week 2 module if you haven't already. And that just helps you, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. I'm talking about GRIT's definition. And then as the reader, I can go, okay, here we are. We're responding to part one of that prompt. Citations are necessary. I'm going to come back and say a little bit more about that in a moment. I want to finish the rubric first. Um, Another primary purpose of this course is to get you in the good habit of citing your sources. As students at a university, you have to give credit to your sources. If what you are writing is not firsthand knowledge or basic common knowledge, you need to have a source to support what you're arguing or writing. So we'll talk about that. It doesn't have to be complicated. You have a ton of help at your fingertips. You live in a modern world, which is a beautiful thing in this case because there is so much help. When I was in undergrad, those were, I'm going to back in my day, this moment. Back in my day, I had to go to the library and I had a little green handbook that I would flip to. Okay, here's the MLA section. MLA is the citation manual we use for this class. You may have used APA before or another style guide, but we will use MLA for this class. And there are some differences, so just bear that in mind. We'll get to that in later weeks. That's not super important right now. And I would say, okay, I have a book with two authors, and I'd have to flip through my little green book and find how to cite a book with two authors. You do not have to do that anymore. There are so many resources at your disposal. And I will show you two of those that I think you'll use most commonly in this class. Your responses to a classmate are also part of the grade. And so, as I said, we have to make it a little bit more substantive than just, hey, great job, you. Um, so, digging in and being more specific. Error-free refers to grammatical issues, spelling, punctuation, things like that. Now, we're going to get into this in the next video that I'm hoping to shoot tonight before I go to bed. Because there was a really good tool to help with grammar. And some of you discovered the links were still there and I took them down today. Grammarly is a wonderful tool. However, because we live in an age where ChatGPT has run rampant, sadly, even at Regent University, students will type a prompt into it and it will spit out a piece of writing and they will turn it in as their own. That is the most egregious form of using AI. But we found, I think it was as recently as this summer, I kept getting writing flagged from students and they would email me and say, I wrote this on my own. I'm using the tools that were given to me by the university. And so that got me thinking it's Grammarly. Grammarly is causing problems. And so while it's a great tool, and if you've ever used it before, you plug in your writing, you can just copy and paste it in, and it will grammar check it for you. And it will explain, okay, here's why this is an error, and here's what we recommend you do. Most students, sadly, don't take the time to dig into that and go, okay, well, this is a trend that I do, and I'm going to figure out how to fix it and try not to do that anymore. Most students will just click accept for every change that Grammarly recommends. And when a student does that, that piece of writing changes enough that it gets flagged for AI. And I'm going to talk about AI more, but we live in a time where I can't always differentiate between someone who's going the egregious route and just, well, I'm going to take 2 minutes and type in the prompt and let it spit it out. And then I'm going to copy and paste it into the discussion and I'm done. I can't always differentiate between that and a student who wrote their own work, but then used a tool like Grammarly and accepted a bunch of changes and it's basically not their writing anymore, unfortunately. And so it gets flagged. So the university made the decision to do away with that partnership, which means you don't have that good tool to help you. So, what you do have is the Writing Center. And in a very early announcement, I posted the weeks that you have writing assignment, your more major writing assignments. The you have to pick your battles sometimes. We're all super busy. Many of you are probably taking multiple classes. You don't need to visit the Writing Center for every dialogue assignment that is 6 points of your total grade. For the bigger assignments, the 5 paragraph essay due week 4, the research paragraph due week 6. Those are really the two major ones that students tend to need extra help with grammatically. You might want to use the Writing Center. If you have a friend or family member who is really good with grammar and just seems to have a good grasp of the English language, ask them to help you. And if you don't have that option and you can't get an appointment with the Writing Center in time to submit your work on time, one of the easiest things you can do is this, and I promise you it works. The thing is, you have to write early enough that you can set it aside for even an hour, but a day is better. Write, set it aside, don't look at it, and then come back to it and read it aloud to yourself. And I promise you, you will be able to find things that you will not find if you immediately read it back. And if you read it aloud, you'll be able to hear things and go, well, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. I need to fix that. Or that didn't come away across the way I thought it did. Our brains are so funny and tricky, and when you read it back right after you've written it, you're going to read it the way you think you wrote it, but not necessarily the way you actually wrote it. So that's a little hot tip from me to you. And then the word count does matter. Um, and I'm honestly not sure if Canvas has progressed that it will show you your word count as you're typing. I know on the bigger assignments, it'll show me your word count on the submission side. But if it doesn't show you that, just open up a Word document. And we'll talk about this anyway. I think it's better to type it in Word first anyway. That'll give you your word count, and then you can copy and paste it over. So I had promised that I was going to show you something. Okay, well, let's go to the modules. Oh, citations. That was the thing. Yeah, I'm going to try really hard to not make this a really long video, but I also want to be thorough and give you information that's helpful. So I'm going to do my best. Okay. So you'll see I'm not going to click on all of these for the sake of time, but you'll come through and see, again, this is the assignment. This is the where it shows you the guidelines and the rubric. Here's your study quiz from the reading. And then we get into the what is grid is going to give you all the material you need to respond to that prompt if you choose. And then the blueprint for success in college will give you the information you need if you choose that second prompt about study strategies. You need to read both, but spend more time with the one that you think you're going to use for your first dialogue. All right, I am going to come in and I'm going to show you a couple. Never mind. Okay, you're not going to see the Grammarly thing on your screen. I was like, why do I see it? It's hidden, which is what that means. Um, I always forget that I need to be in student view so that you can see what it looks like on your screen. It's mainly the same in the modules. There are just maybe a thing or two that I have hidden from you. Okay. So let's look at how to write a dialogue post first. These two files are the same. One is a PDF and one is a PowerPoint because, if you're looking at it on your phone, PowerPoint may not work. So they've given you the PDF as well. All right, let's, I would like to make that full screen. Okay. And let me show you again what I just did, because if you come down here, you'll see, well, there are words cut off. I can't possibly read that. So if you come up to the top of the viewer, you'll see this little diagonal arrow. And if you hover over it, it says enter full screen. So I just clicked on that and it brings me here. Okay. And now the question is, are these blank slides or is it taking that long to load? If this takes too long, I'm not going to sit here and wait. I'll give you the highlights of what's in it. And one of them is what I just talked about with typing in Word and then copying and pasting into the discussion area. And the reason I recommend that is because glitches can happen. And if you spend an hour writing a discussion post and your screen refreshes or your computer crashes, you've lost all of your work. It's happened to me. It happened to me multiple times in college and in grad school, and it's heartbreaking. So if you type in Word and save regularly, uh, I have a computer that connects to OneDrive. Once I save it once, it auto saves it for me. So if you have that ability, use that because the chances of losing work are so much less that way. Um, what, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me come over to discussions and I'm going to go into a forum where no one is posted yet, so I don't have to worry about anonymity. Now, obviously, you're going to go into the week 2 dialogue, but I already have students who are posting in there. So, out of respect for their privacy, I'm not going to click into that one. So, let's go into week 5 and we'll pretend that it's week 2. So, when you come in for your original post, you want to make sure you hit the reply button at the top. If you reply to a student with the original post, it's going to get buried. I'm not going to see it as an original post. I'm going to see it as a response to a classmate. And that's drastically going to affect your grade until I figure out what's going on. So hit reply at the top right under the title of the assignment. And then that will bring up your text editor. So what you want to do is you'll have a document typed up in Word, ideally, because you've gone to one of those first announcements. You've called the help desk if you need to. You've downloaded Microsoft Office. You're using Microsoft Word. You're feeling good. You're going to type up your work in Word, save frequently, and then you're going to paste it here. And I'm going to actually, let me see if I can just find like a really, it doesn't matter what the document is. I'm just going to try to find. Here we go. I'm a Virginia Beach Master Gardener. If you haven't read that in my little bio under the instructor information. So this is one of the first things that comes up. Okay, so let's pretend that, and actually, you're not going to be, okay. So here we are. It's just an agenda from an old meeting. All right, so let's pretend this is your work that you've worked tirelessly on for the last 45 minutes to an hour. It may not take you that long, but it may take you that long. You know, everyone's different. This is an individual journey for every single person, and it's going to be different for everyone. Just a fun little tidbit for you. If you hold Control and hit C, that is the shortcut to copy. All right, and now I'm going to go back to Canvas. And now I'm going to paste it in. And there you go. Uh, and then when you're happy with it, hit reply. Now, I'm going to delete all of this, so don't worry, students who are in this session B fall 2024 class, it will be deleted. Here's what you do not want to do. You don't want to reply and attach that document. And again, I'm going to go to something innocuous that can't possibly give away anyone's personal information. Okay. So I'm going to show you the difference between these two things. And this is important because if you attach a file instead of copying and pasting, I'm not going to read it because I want you to learn how to do things the correct way. And if you are attaching your post, then everyone has to click on this link, open a new window to read it. When I'm grading it, I have to open multiple windows to grade it. It's just a pain for everybody. And it may feel like a small thing, but if everyone's attaching, that is increasing my work time by a lot. And I don't have time to waste. And I don't think any of us do. So we want to do this as correctly and efficiently as possible. So whereas normally I'm coming through and I'm responding to everyone, it's all going to be right here on the same screen. So when a student comes and does another post, it's going to go on top and on top, and I can just scroll through and see everyone's post. But if they're done as attachments, then I have to click on that link and it's going to open up a document, and it slows everyone down, slows me down. So do not attach discussion/dialogue posts. You will attach different types of assignments, but I'm not going to touch on that tonight because we don't need to know that yet. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete these before I forget and cause great confusion in this class. Actually, before I delete that one, let me show you. When you're ready to do your responses to classmates, you'll be able to scroll through and see every post that everyone in your group has done. And then it's just as simple. So I told you when you do your original, you're going to hit reply at the top within that title box. But when you want to reply to a classmate, you're going to come underneath their post and hit reply. And then it may feel like nothing's happened. I've learned this the hard way. You will have to scroll down to see the new text editor box has popped up, and you'll type your thoughts and your specific uh, comments to your classmate, because we are not just going to say, good job, buddy, um, and then hit reply under here. And you can't really see it very well because this purple bar is up, but that blue button right there is the reply button, and you'll be able to see it perfectly when that is not on the screen. Okay, but for now, I'm going to cancel that and I'm going to delete this. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the modules and show you one more thing that is going to be super helpful. Okay, so that is the other material called Citing Course Materials. And the people who put this course together, this is my favorite document in the entire class. I'm so grateful that they did this for everyone. And again, you'll have your viewer that is taking its time loading right now, but you also have the option of downloading the PDF. And so if this takes more than a couple of seconds, I'm going to go ahead and download the PDF instead. And here we go. Just going to download that. Now, every browser is different. When I download, you may have just seen that bubble popped up. This is my download button. So if I click on that, it'll show, and of course my face is in the way. So you'll see oftentimes that's much faster than waiting for that document viewer. It's just one of those irritating little quirks about Canvas that may, right now, if you're not confident, may feel like I can't do this, because it's always those little things, right? I promise you can. And in a few weeks, you're going to look back and go, so silly that I was that bothered by that thing that I know how to do now. There's always a workaround. You may have to call the help desk to find your workaround, but that number is in that early announcement about downloads. It may be in another place as well, downloading Microsoft Office. So go back to the early announcements. I Google it every time I need it. I just Google Regent University Help Desk and it comes right up. So that's probably the faster option to find it. Okay, here we go to this wonderful document that has been provided for us all. Now, it talks a little bit about plagiarism. We're going to get there. It talks about how MLA is required for this course. So if sometimes you want to go to another resource. I think the OWL at Purdue, OWL, short for Online Writing Lab, is a wonderful resource. EasyBib, I've had great success with that, and I show it to students because I think it's a good resource if you need it. But for any uh, source, I suddenly forgot how to use words. For any source that is in this class, the MLA citation is in this document. So it's going to give you some information. I'm not going to go over it all. I just want to show you the best part about this document, and then you can spend some more time with it later because it'll show you how to do it. But here we go. And it's sorted by week. So we're in week 2. So there's a really good chance that you are using one of those Angela Duckworth sources in your post, especially when you're defining grit in that first paragraph, right? Because you're going to do 2 paragraphs, 1 paragraph to respond to each part of your chosen prompt. So it gives you 2 things here, and this is genius. So it gives you the MLA citation that would go on a works cited page. And I'm going to have to open up a new Word document, I can tell. Okay, so we're going to have to go back and forth. I have to reshare every time I move between my internet browser and a Word document. I'm going to try really hard not to forget to do that. Okay, so let me share this Word. Yeah, share the Word document. Okay, and it is blank. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than I originally thought I would, but that's okay because if you don't need this, it's fine. You can speed up a little bit. But if you do need it, then hopefully you find it helpful. So when you're going to open up a Word document again, because we're going to do it in Word and then we're going to save it and we're going to copy and paste into the text editor when you reply in that weekly forum. So you're going to type your name. Oh my goodness, that is so tiny. Who can possibly read that? And this is MLA style. So the sooner you can get in the habit of doing this without having to look for every little thing, the easier your life is going to be. This is your heading, and it has 4 lines. Now, double spacing, I'm not at all worried about in the dialogues. If you're not submitting a Word file, I'm not worried about the double spacing. Normally, everything would be double spaced. I'm not worried about that right now. There's a longer video that's already posted in week 6 where I really, really get into the weeds of that. Okay, so it's your name, your professor name, the course name, which I'm just gonna go ahead because I just want you to, it's simple, just do UNIV 100. That's all. You don't need to do anything beyond that. And then the date. Okay. And then you don't have to have a title. And honestly, here, I would not worry about a title because in MLA, titles are supposed to be centered. I'm going to know as soon as I read the first 3 words of your post what you're writing about. Don't worry about titles. Take that off your plate. You have enough to worry about for now. Okay. Um, so in theory, this would be paragraph of my response to the grid prompt. Grit is, okay, I'm not going to type any more than that. So now the real beauty of that sheet that I was showing you, and I'm going to go back and share that so that you can see what I'm doing on my screen. Okay, so let's say I'm going to cite this first Angela Duckworth source. I'm going to highlight that citation. And you can hold control and hit C. That's the shortcut. You can also right click on your mouse and copy that way. Either way, same result. Okay, back to Word. I've done entire videos where I forgot to share back and forth, and so you could only see half of what I was talking about. I'm not going to do that this time. Now, during week 6, when you're doing a full-on Word document with MLA formatting, I'm going to stress some of these things much more than I will now. For now, because it's going in a dialogue post, we're not going to worry about page breaks. We're not going to worry about centering. I mean, you can center this. More than likely, it's going to get thrown off when you post it anyway. So I don't want you to get bogged down in things that don't matter. I don't care if works cited is centered or not. What I do care about is that you title Works Cited underneath your writing, and then you paste in or create a new citation if it's not a course material. So here you go. That's your MLA citation, and it's perfect because it came from the document that provides you with all the perfect citations. Now, the other thing that this sheet is going to do for you, and I know some of you are already like, it's too much. My brain is done. Pause, come back. Note the minute that we're at and come back to it later. But another important part of citing, you must have a works cited, which is a list of all the sources you use in your writing, and that comes after your writing. But the other thing you need to get in the habit of doing is your in-text citations. So they give you these here. So it makes it so easy. And I'm just going to copy and paste this whole thing in just to show you. This is just an example of a way that you could lead into a quotation or a paraphrase from this source. Duckworth defines grit as, and then you write the rest. If you are paraphrasing, please make sure it is in your own words. If you are quoting word for word from the video, use quotation marks around every part of that word for word quote. Okay, but I'm gonna go back to my Word document one last time, I hope. And okay, and since I copied that first part, I'm going to just paste this in. Okay, and there you go. That's your in-text citation. The reason we do this is because, as you get more advanced in your research writing, you might have 5, 7, 10 sources and on your works cited. And what your professor has to be able to do to ensure that you are citing correctly, giving all the credit that you're supposed to give to these different authors and content creators is we have to make sure that we can match up every source on the works cited to in-text citation in the writing. So we know you have used every source that's on the works cited. You shouldn't be listing sources on the works cited that you are not actually using to support your writing. And every in-text citation has a corresponding citation on the works cited. That's kind of getting deeper than I wanted to, but you need to be doing both of these things. Usually you won't have a timestamp as your in-text citation. This happens to be a video, but this is how you do it. So it's pretty cool. All right, let me go back. Actually, no. Let me zoom out a little bit first before I do that. Okay. So if this were a complete 2 paragraphs and that were the only source you used, you would just copy and paste this. I'm going to show you the right click. So I use the right click on my mouse, hit copy. We're going to go back to Canvas, and I'm going to go here. Okay, let me go back to the discussions, and I'll do this one more time to show you. Okay, so once again, this of course will go in week 2, but I'm not going to go into week 2 because there's student material there. So out of respect for privacy, I'm going to come back to week 5. So again, reply for your original post in the title box at the top, and then you can right click and then paste. And let's see what it did. See if it threw anything off. Reply, and then let's see how she looks. Okay, so, and you can see I had works cited centered on my Word document. It did not maintain that formatting. So do not make yourself crazy. I do not care on dialogue posts if that title is centered. It's absolutely fine. What I do care is that I see works cited after your writing, after your response, and then I see MLA formatted citations underneath that. All right. I'm going to show you one more resource in case you need it, and that is EasyBib. Now, I haven't been in here in a while. It's easybib.com. You may not ever need this in this class, and that's absolutely fine. You do not need to use any resources other than course materials, probably some scripture, and I don't think scripture is on that setting course materials handout. So I need to show you that as well. All right, so we come to EasyBib. I think it'll still let you use it to dabble without having an account. We're gonna find out because I don't think it's been too long for me to still be signed in here. Okay, so I clicked create a citation and then it brings you to some options. 9 times out of 10, if you're creating a citation, you are going to be creating it from a website these days. What you want to make sure of is that it is a reputable website. So what I'm going to do by way of example is I'm going to pull up some scripture because when I need scripture, I often search for it online. It's just so quick. I can copy and paste. It's a little more convenient than having to type the whole thing out. So, okay. And of course, Bible Gateway is always the first one that comes up. Okay. And we're going to use the one that's on this screen for the sake of time. So, oh, let's see. I'm going to click into it. And just for fun, let's go to a different version. Okay. We're going to see what happens together. Okay, so I'm going to come up here, and when I click on the URL, it's automatically going to highlight. If I only click once, it's going to highlight the whole thing for me. So I'm going to copy that, and I am going to go back. Oh gosh, I have too many things in the way. Back to EasyBib. Okay, so now I'm going to choose website because that's what I just was on. That's what I need to cite as a website. And it'll say search by keyword or URL. So I am going to paste that URL right there and hit search, and let's see what happens. Okay, one result found. That looks like exactly what I was just on, Bible Gateway. Those are the verses I was on. That is the translation. And so now I'm going to click Cite. Now, the thing I dislike strongly about EasyBib is the ads. They want you to pay to get rid of all of them. And I refuse. I will not pay to get rid of those ads. So we're just going to muddle through. And again, you hopefully won't need to do this very often in this class because you're not going to be looking for a lot of outside sources for any of the assignments we're doing. Oh, here we go. Okay. So they found the article title, the URL, the website title, and the date accessed. What they did not find was a publisher. I believe the title and the publisher are the same in this case. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then the date it was published, it's scripture. I'm not worried about the date it was published. So I'm going to continue. Sometimes it'll say it couldn't find the author, and you can go back to the page and scroll through and find the author and type it in. That's why it does that, because the more information you have, the better. But it found enough that I feel good about what it's going to come up with. So we're going to complete this. Y'all, it's going to make me watch an ad. Everyone go to your happy place for a moment, relax with your thoughts. Again, this is the frustrating thing about EasyBib, but it's a really good resource. I'm going to show you one more way that you can do this. Like if you prefer to use a physical Bible instead of searching online. Because the vast majority of you will cite scripture at some point, maybe in every dialogue post, maybe in your 5-paragraph essay. Okay, oh, that wasn't terrible. And here we go. It has produced a beautiful MLA formatted citation for us. And you'll see when I hover over it, it'll say copy citation. It also has copy in-text citation. I'm going to go back there and grab that in a second. So let me go back to my Word document. And there we go. So I've now added that. Now, there's a little quirky thing. I'm not so worried about this yet, but if you can get in the habit of it now, it's really good. Um, your citations need to be in alphabetical order, and you can see, and it's alphabetical order by the first item in the citation. If there's an author, the author's last name is always going to be the first thing in your citation. If there's no author, then it's going to go to title, and it will be the first word of the title minus an article, meaning the, a, or an. So you don't alphabetize with that word. It would be the next word after that. But in this case, we don't have an article. So I'm just going to quickly rearrange the order of that. And now it's in alphabetical order, which is what MLA requires. Now, I'm going to go back. Oh gosh, now this is getting so long. All right, we're not going to do plagiarism checks right now. Okay, I'm going to hover again and copy in text citation. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, it's not going to let me do it. So what we're going to get out of EasyBib, and we're done with that. And we're going to go to, let's go to the OWL at Purdue. And we'll show you. We want the MLA formatting and style guide. So if EasyBib's not working for you, like you can't stand the ads, it's just too much. This is another option. It requires a little more work of you. Um, huh. Well, they've got citation machine. I should probably look into that too. Let's see here. And honestly, y'all, I will sometimes just Google, like, I'm gonna do it right now because why waste time when we have modern technology? Owl at Purdue MLA Bible, and then it should hit me right there. Here we go. Make your life easier whenever you can, as long as you're not like doing anything unethical, obviously. Okay. And I'm going to show you another little tip because I could scroll and find it. But you know what else I can do is I can do hold control and hit F, and that brings up a search function. So if I'm just looking for the word Bible on the page, I type in Bible and it brings me right down to it. You'll see there are 7 instances of the word Bible. I'm seeing 6 of them right here. So that is a fantastic way to find exactly what you're looking for. So if you're using like a hard copy of the Bible, this is where you would come. And so here they want you to do the Bible and then the version and then something about the printing company. So there might be an edition, there might not, but there will definitely be a publishing company and a year that you'll be able to find in those first couple of pages around the title page. Okay, and then the in-text citation, it tells me to go right here. So I'm going to click on that. And that's what I like about the online writing lab at Purdue, or OWL at Purdue, is it takes you pretty seamlessly from one place to another. I believe with the Bible, they want you to give the scripture reference. Let's see if that's right. Okay, they want the translation and the scripture reference. So we used the Message. So it would be the Message, comma, and then Romans 12, 1 and 2. And I'm going to go back to the Word document and just show you that. 2 seconds. I'm back on the browser and I'm copying and pasting, but I don't think you can see it because I didn't reshare that. So I'm just very quickly going to grab this. And let's say you're not going to quote this much because then it just completely takes over your entire um, post, but just by way of example. So I've got my scripture quoted here. You'll see I put the quotation mark at the beginning and at the end, and then no period yet because in MLA with your in-text citation, oh, um, you want when you have a quotation and an in-text citation after it, you close out your quotation. Then you do your parenthetical or your in-text citation. It was the message, and it's Romans, I think it was 12, 1 and 2. And then your period after the parenthetical. So there you go. Okay. Oh my gosh, so much more specific than I planned on getting in this video. But that's what your post will look like. And then, like I showed you before, you just copy and paste it into the text editor once you hit reply in the title box of the forum. Make sure you do week 2, not week 5, even though I've been playing around in the week 5 forum because it's currently empty. Oh my goodness. Okay, back to our browser. Hopefully for the last time, let me get back in. Okay, I'm going to delete this before I forget. I want to make sure that I've said everything I want to say about this. There will be more tips coming. But for now, I want you to do your best and I will give you some feedback as students are posting. Honestly, this is a pretty busy week for me. The deadline for the original post is Thursday before midnight Eastern Standard Time. So I think I have on my calendar right now to sit down and respond to everyone on Friday. And then you have until Sunday at midnight to make any corrections, additions, and then respond to your classmates. So, and of course, I'm available via email if you have questions. Remember, my email address is on the syllabus. And so just to review that, click on syllabus, click this link. You'll be prompted to download it. Depending on your browser, it may open automatically, or you may have to go up to the corner like I do. And I'll just show you that one more time really quickly for those of you. So 2 things you can do in Canvas. You can click on the link directly and it'll bring up the viewer, but that tends to be glitchy and slow. So if that doesn't work for you, then download it. And again, in my browser, when you click download, nothing happens apparently. Okay. Well, anyway, syllabus, I'll show it to you on the other screen. Oh, there it went. I'm so impatient and tired. Page 1 of the syllabus, my email address is there if you ever need it. You may want to save it in an address book in whichever email account you are familiar with. I know in some, when you start typing email addresses that you've used before, it automatically comes up. Or if this viewer doesn't work, remember you hit download, and then on my browser, which is Google Chrome, I've got this little button at the top, the download arrow, and then once it comes up, you'll be able to open it from the list. So it just really depends on your computer and your browser as to how you'll go about doing that. But remember, there's always, almost always, more than one way to do things. So don't fret if the first way doesn't work. Okay, y'all, I've got to stop talking because this video has gotten crazy long. But hopefully those of you who are new to all of this and are uncertain, hopefully you find this helpful and not an overload of information. It's 11:44 at night. I'm going to try really hard to get the AI video done tonight. If not, I'll have that up soon. But for now, I will see y'all in the next video. Good luck with your dialogue posts if you haven't already done it. If you have already done it, for my students that I have right now, and this is Tuesday of week 2, but I know some of you have already posted early. Feel free to go back and make changes. And what I prefer, instead of editing your original post, I prefer that you reply to your own post and then repost new. And that's just because it gets a little hairy sometimes. Like if I've graded it and then there's an edit made and a student, and I don't think that anyone here would do that, but people use AI egregiously. So I have to kind of prepare for every eventuality. But, if I've graded something and then a student goes back and edits and says, oh, no, you said I didn't do this, but look, it gets very hairy. So I don't really, it's not my preference that a student would edit an original post. Just reply to it and then I'll look at the most recent one when I grade it. Not a big deal. If you're nervous about that, just at the top put grade this one or updated post or whatever will tell me that that's the newest one. But it's never too late to edit unless the deadline is passed. And so hopefully you're watching this in plenty of time to get that done and make any corrections that you need to after seeing this. Okay, I'm done. Seriously. Good night, everyone. Or good morning. I don't know what time it is where you are. But I have to go to the one where I'm full screen. So disconcerting. All right, y'all. I will see you in the near future, hopefully on an AI video where you get all the information you need not to get flagged for AI. But I'll see you next time.